Welcome to the Pennington County Planning Commission, April 10th, 2023 meeting. Recommendations of the Planning Commission on certain items from this agenda will be considered by the Board of Commissioners at their regular meeting on April 18th, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. The 10:30 a.m. is a time listed to go to planning items. So any item that you would want to hear may not be exactly at 10:30. You're going to have to sit and wait, or you might be the first item, who knows. Let's go through roll call as everyone's here. Jerry, for the record. Approval of the minutes for the March 27, 2023 meeting. Any errors clerical? I've got one, page 8. We listed 8 conditions and it's 6. Anyone else? Chair would take a motion to approve the minutes from the 27th, 2023 meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second? Second. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission for March 27, 2023 as corrected. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the special meeting, March 29, 2023, on the special meeting to take testimony on the vacation home rental ordinance.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 29, 2023 special meeting of the Planning Commission for the Vacation Home Ordinance Vacation Home Ordinance Residence Ordinance. Thank you. I'll get it out. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the agenda. Has everyone gone through the packet and reviewed the agenda as published? If so, Chair would recognize a motion to approve.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
And second, to approve the agenda as published. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to the consent agenda. Thank you, Brittany.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Molitor, Planning Director. The following items have been placed on the consent agenda for action to be taken on all items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this Planning Commission on certain items from this agenda are recommendations to the Pennington County Board of Commissioners, who will make the final decision. Item number 4 is conditional use permit review CU 1003 for Mike and Stacy Howe to review a dog cat boarding kennel in an agriculture district, and staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1003 with conditions. Item number 5 is conditional use permit review CU 1602 for Eva Olson to review a single-wide mobile home in an agriculture district, and staff recommends to end conditional use permit CU 1602 with the applicant's concurrence as it is no longer needed. Item number 6 is conditional use permit review CU 1742 for Kyle and Christina Volmer to review living in a recreational vehicle while building a single-family residence in an agriculture district, and staff recommends to end conditional use permit CU 1742 with the applicant's concurrence as it is no longer needed. Item number 7 is conditional use permit review CU 20-27 for Doug and Wendy Scogan to allow an accessory structure, a shed, prior to a primary structure in an agriculture district, and staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 20-27 with conditions. Item number 8 is conditional use permit review CU 22-02 for William and Mavis Jeffrey to review a multifamily residence in a suburban residential district, and staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 22-02 with conditions. Item number 9 is Plan Unit Development Review PU 9301 for George Bieber to review a recreational resort in an agriculture district, and staff recommends to continue the review of Plan Unit Development PU 9301 to the June 12, 2023 Planning Commission meeting with one condition. Item number 10 is minor plan unit development amendment review, PU 20-05, for Brian and Melissa Bowers to review a swimming pool located in a front yard in a plan unit development. The staff recommends approval of the extension of minor plan unit development amendment, PU 20-05, with conditions. And finally, item 11 is plan unit development overlay review, PU 21-18, for Lisa McCory to review a plan unit development overlay to allow a recreational resort to include a swimming pool, golf course, vacation home rental, RV site, and pole barn in an agriculture district. And staff recommends to continue the review of plan unit development overlay, PU 21-18, to the July 24th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting with one condition.
Thank you, Brittany. Brittany, anything that you would care to pull or the staff would care to pull
No,
at this
not
time?
at this time. No.
Okay, and for the commission, is there any item that you have noted a clerical error in?
I'd like to pull 7.
You'd like to pull 7. Okay. Any other members who would like to have an item pulled?
Just a question on 10.
10? Okay. The audience, anyone here in the audience hear those items reviewed? Those items are voted on by one motion and will pass as a unit together. That's why they call it the consent calendar. Any item, be items number 4 through 11. All right, we're going to pull number 7 and number 10. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar with items number 7 and number 10 pulled for review. Discussion from the audience. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 7.
DJ Dorf with the Planning and Zoning Department.
The only question I have is the satellite photo. There's a lot of things on that property.
Yeah, from what I understood, those are DOE, those are old buildings that were from the 40s, I think. I'd have to double check on it, but I think they're from they're older
So there
ones.
isn't anything else on that land except this one. We're okay? Okay.
So that originally was an old barn that they refurbished. So they lifted it and refurbished that structure. So that was the
Noticed
reason
tear
for
down
the,
thing, so, okay, all right. That was my only question. Thank you.
Mike, would you care to make a motion in that regard?
Do you want to do this or wait till 10? Do them together.
We should do it individually.
Okay, I make a motion that we pass Agenda 7.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item number 7, per staff's recommendation, conditional use permit 20-27 with 10 conditions. Discussion from the audience. Anyone from the audience care to speak on this? You're certainly allowed to. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 10.
I just have a question also on the aerial. It looks like there's already a pool there. Is this just bringing it into compliance or?
No, the pool was built in 2020 or 2021. It is a review for a planned unit development, so the pool was built after the planned unit development amendment.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
I have just one. The picture probably answers my question. I want to make sure that I'm right. This was probably set up as some type of PUD or something originally, and you've got double frontage on this particular piece of property, and one of them, of course, becomes the front, and one of them becomes the side, and that's the issue that really was involved in the first place, wasn't it?
Yes. The frontage goes along the south side and the west side of the property.
All right, thank you. So that's the case, and those folks and then needed to get this PUD amendment to get that handled.
Yes.
I can see, development amendment. Any other questions for Megan? Chair, to address a motion, Kevin, if
I move approval of PUD 20-05.
Second.
moved and seconded to approve PUD 20-05 per staff's recommendation with 17 conditions. Discussion from the audience, from the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 12.
Megan Talmadge, planner. Agenda item 12 is a conditional use permit, CU 23-07, to allow a multifamily dwelling. The applicants are David and Angela Rowland, and the location is at 635 Forest Street. Staff recommends to withdraw the application for conditional use permit CU 23-07 with the applicant's concurrence. The unfinished space was finished in 2019 during the initial construction of the single-family residence, and the applicant has been working with staff to bring the structure into compliance with the Pennington County zoning ordinance. The applicant has chosen to remove the kitchen from the residence above the garage, and staff will confirm that the kitchen was removed with the final inspection of the building permit that was submitted recently. They are also revising the office so that it no longer classifies as 6 bedrooms and instead has 5 as addressed by the environmental planner. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Megan? I just have one. This was the continued item from the 27th, wasn't it?
It was.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone would like to speak on this from the audience? Chair, accept the motion if it's put on the table.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve per staff's recommendation, and this would be to withdraw the application for conditional use permit CU 23-17. Discussion from the audience. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to number 13.
Agenda, oh, sorry.
You get to stay for a while, Megan.
Yeah, it's all me.
Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Agenda item 13 is conditional use permit 23-09 and is to allow a vacation home rental on the subject property. The applicants are Brian and Jennifer Feisner. The location is 23938 Highway 385 and the lot size is 3.04 acres. The current zoning is rural residential and the existing land use is residential. There is 100-year floodplain and floodway on the property. And the access is a private access easement off Highway 385. The zoning ordinance lists 7 criteria that the Planning Commission may consider in their review of conditional use permit applications. They are as follows. 1, no, a vacation home rental VHR should not be detrimental or endanger the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. 2, no, a VHR is considered a residential use. This requested use should not change the use of the property or have any long-term negative effects on the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity. 3, no, the requested use should not affect the normal orderly development or improvement of any of the surrounding property in the area. 4, yes, all necessary utilities are in place. 5, yes, access is off a private access easement coming off of Highway 385. The requested use should not significantly affect the traffic congestion. 6, yes, the property is zoned rural residential. An approved conditional use permit is required to operate a vacation home rental in the zoning district. 7, yes, the future land use is rural residential. Allowing this conditional use permit should be consistent with the current comprehensive plan. Currently on the property, there is a single-family residence. The on-site wastewater treatment system was installed at the same time as the single-family residence, and it has a current operating permit. In the interdepartmental review, The address commented that the address must be posted where the driveway meets Highway 385 and on the residence, so it can be seen from where the driveway splits from Lot A of Kerstead Addition in accordance with Pennington County Ordinance Number 20. Hill City comment is attached. Although staff was unable to perform a site visit due to weather, staff has worked with the applicant to obtain photos and review that there are smoke detectors in each bedroom, fire extinguishers on each floor, and that the performance requirements are posted. The basement in the structure is unfinished and is not to be used as sleeping quarters. So staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 23-09 with, excuse me, 16 conditions.
Thank you, Megan. Questions for Megan?
Just one.
Mike?
The Hill City letter from Danny up there, the shared highway access, is that something to be concerned with that she's writing?
There was no comment from the South Dakota Department of Transportation.
So it doesn't bother them?
No.
Okay. All right, that's it, sir.
I have one. We have an application for the sales tax, and I see now the state in their infinite wisdom combine the sales and contractors excise tax license in the same application. Has that been issued yet?
Yes, it has. The applicants are here if you have any
Okay,
questions
I'll
for
have them
them.
come up here at the end.
Okay.
Okay, and the other one is, we did have a public sent in at the last minute, and I think you can review this one for me. You look at these things, and I'll just read what she wrote. And it's from Joyce Segru, and she sent it. She said, Jerry, I have a comment for Charlie. All right, agenda item number 13. Apparently, parts of this property are in the floodplain. Is condition 6 for this CUP strong enough to address the concerns about flash flooding as expressed in the memo from Danny Shade from the city of Hill City?
If you would like to either change condition 6 or add another condition for further emergency evacuation plan, we're able to do that. But on the screen, I have the map of the floodplain development permit on the or not the permit, the floodway on the property. So the red is the floodway and the blue is 100-year floodplain, which is touching just the corner of that building. They should have an emergency evacuation plan in place, but generally it's not in the floodplain. So we don't have too much concern with it.
Just the floodway.
Just the floodway, yes. And vacation home rentals are not
If
allowed.
we were to look at changing that condition, and I think Brittany kind of was trying to advise me, and then we got the meeting going here, that actually causes those folks to hire an engineer to look at both of the maps and determine where they're at. Is that correct? So it's an additional expense to them.
Yes. And again, if you're going to have them come up and ask questions, and you're going to ask questions of them, I
Yeah.
believe that they have started that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Megan before we let her sit down? Thank you. And your applicant is obviously here. Thank you. Whoever would like to speak, or both of you can come up. Officially, we have to have you introduce yourself just for the record.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Feisner.
I'm Brian Feisner.
And if you'd go ahead, anything else you would like to comment on, you can certainly do first if you like.
Looking forward to
All right.
being in Pennington County area.
What about the question on the floodplain thing? Are you comfortable with dealing with the people, and you've looked at your property on what you're seeing from those maps?
It just hits the very edge of the corner of the basement, which we're not using, for
The
anybody
very
to
corner.
stay in. Yeah, just the very corner, yes.
That's what I understood. And I believe that's the Hill City, even a letter that she's referring to
Yeah. Yep.
said that.
Yep, and we have gone forward, we've actually we have a surveyor hired, it's just not done yet, just to make sure that we know
Comfortable.
also that we're comfortable and not doing something that's gonna put anybody in danger, so.
Okay, and then secondly, which you've already indicated, your license came back.
Yep, got the license, I've got a copy of it here, so just got it this last week.
Okay, very good.
Yep,
That's the first time I'd ever seen that format. That's a new format, and state probably is trying to save money on forms, and so they throw everybody in together. And the idea that they have all these categories for contractors license is kind of ridiculous, but whatever.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicants? Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming forward. Anyone else in the audience want to speak on it? Chair is open to a motion.
I move that we approve CU 23-09 with conditions.
Second?
Moved and second to approve. I'm trying to back up here a little. CU 23-09 with 16 conditions. Anyone from the audience want to involve themselves on discussion? The commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 14.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we combine agenda number 14 and 15 for the purposes of discussion, but vote on them separately.
Second.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to combine items number be 14 and 15. And just for purposes of discussion, they will be handled as one item. They still will be handled as separate items for voting, as separate agenda items for voting. And the commission knows that this has to be a 2/3 vote to approve that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go ahead, Brittany.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item number 14 is Comprehensive Plan Amendment CA 23-02 to amend the comprehensive plan to change the future land use from Ranchette District to Rural Residential District. The applicants are Par Properties LLC, Paul Zwiffel. The surveyor engineer is All Aspects Surveying. The property is located at 22742 South Rochford Road. It consists of 10 acres. If you look at the surrounding current land use, it is Forest Service, which is the darker green, agriculture, and then there's a PUD, a small PUD that's to the west of it. The future land use is Ranchette. When looking at changing the future land use, we look at roads and streets and infrastructure. And currently, Divide Road is a 12-foot wide gravel surface road that is a Forest Service road. Table 1 of Ordinance 14 does require that for a local road, there is a 66-foot wide right-of-way and the road width be 24 feet with 6 inches of gravel. Private on-site wastewater treatment system and private wells are common for this area. This was routed around for interdepartmental review. There was no comments that came back from the Highway Department due to the fact that the Divide Road is a Forest Service road. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the subject property into 3 lots. You can see the proposed layout on the screen. Future land use within 1/2 mile of the subject property identifies several lots as ranchette and rural residential. However, those rural residential lots are on Rochford Road, which Rochford Road is a significantly more improved road than Divide Road. The existing infrastructure and roads are not appropriate for rural residential zoning and would require significant improvements. The request for the comprehensive plan amendment appears to be in harmony with future land use designations in the comprehensive plan if improvements are made to the existing infrastructure. So again, if you look at where rural residential is in the future land use, as what they are requesting, it is off of South Rochford Road, which is a significantly more improved road than what Divide Road is. So with that, staff is recommending denial without prejudice of comprehensive plan amendment CA 23-02.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Questions for Brittany? I've got one. When we're dealing with a request that involves bringing a particular, in this case, a road up to the standards that we require for a particular situation, this would be 14, and that road is on the Forest Service, that does take a submission to them, which they have the right to review and respond on and go back and forth. Is that not correct?
That's correct. And one of the reasons that I recommended that we deny it without prejudice, if they would work with the Forest Service to get those road improvements in, then we could reconsider this rezone if those road improvements were going to be done or able to be done.
And my history, and I don't know, you deal with them a lot more than I do, but my history with the road district, that can be a long process.
That is
I mean, I've
correct.
seen a short time sometimes is 3 years.
That is my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for Brittany?
That kind of answered mine, but Divide Road then is a Forest Service road. That's the one you're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I have photos of Divide Road up on the screen, so you can see kind of the condition and the width. And the property is up to the left.
And Brittany, what's the, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Brittany, what's the applicant's thought process on that? If they're gonna, if it's denied, do they feel comfortable starting to navigate that if that's what they want to continue doing? They're aware that they need to do it, correct?
Pardon? I have reached out to the surveyor and have not heard back. That has been our point of contact. So I did email them. They are aware of the conditions. It was a condition in the layout plan as well that they submitted.
I just want to point out one other thing, my familiarity being up near Mystic and whatnot, the other element that's in there that's unwritten is they get very sensitive about you doing anything once they know you've made a proposal to them to change the road. They don't like you to do much at all until it's decided. I have to put that in there. That's one of the reasons I think it gets stretched out. In other words, they kind of want it left Forest Service looking and developed road.
Right, and that is up to the Forest Service and the applicant. We look at what our ordinance 14 requirements are.
Right.
And as far as the layout plan, and if they do decide to move forward with that, the preliminary plan will be in front of this board with the same conditions and requirements that they would have to dedicate additional right-of-way and improve the road. If they dedicate additional right-of-way, there is some concern that they won't meet the 3-acre lot size minimums, and going down to low-density residential obviously would not be supported either.
Only reason I brought up the one, we just had one get finished, and they wouldn't even let them put gravel on it until it was decided in writing. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I've
Yes.
never been excited about moving two zonings down, but if that was a ranchette, would that be viewed differently?
The ranchette is actually what the future land use is. However, during the planning process, they would still have to meet the road improvement requirements, or they would have to get variances from the Board of Adjustment to make those road improvements.
Okay.
Is your applicant here?
Yes. No, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
The other side is here.
No, they are not.
No, they're not? Okay. Otherwise I was going to ask them to come up and ask them whether they've had any contact with the Black Hills National Forest on this type of thing on a road. It's an exciting thing. Anything else for Brittany? Anyone else here to speak on this issue that would like to have? Yes, ma'am. Please come up and introduce yourself just for the record. And you may address both of the items, the request for the comprehensive plan change and the rezone. We made a motion to discuss them together.
All right, I'm Maud Hopkins, and it's my property there behind the wood fence. The road goes through our property. We only have 5 acres, and if they improve that road, it's going to take a lot more of our land. As it stands now, there are very few people, about 4 people up the road, and it's okay. The Forest Service does not maintain it. According to our copy of the easement, Forest Service easement, they have to maintain it. And if they don't, for a period of 5 years, it reverts back to the landowner. We have been there for 8 years, and it has never been touched by the Forest Service. So I don't know how we get that straightened out, but we do need to get that done because private property, we can't People moved out there for peace and quiet and enjoyment of the forest. We don't want a subdivision. We don't want a whole bunch of people out there. Come out, enjoy the forest, have a great time, but we want to enjoy it too. And if there's too much traffic, we can't. So that's all I have to say.
Questions for mine? I have one. Then you're telling us that there's going to be an issue of who maintains it besides
Yes.
come up in this matter because of it crossing your land and having not been maintained before. In other words, the Forest Service selected not to maintain it. They certainly know about it. And they do this in areas. We're all familiar with that. Some areas they do, some areas they don't. They decide, not us. And we don't get notified. This department doesn't get notified until there's a question on it. So, so there's really two issues on just the road alone, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
Understood. Any other questions for Mud? Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak on this matter? Commission.
Just one, Brittany, do you know how wide that Forest Service road is right now?
It's about 12 feet,
And it's supposed to be what to go to?
24, with 66 feet of right-of-way dedicated. So as part of the layout plan, one of the conditions is they would have to dedicate additional right-of-way for Divide Road as part of their plat on their property. The concern with that is if they do dedicate that, then those lots are going to go below the 3-acre lot size. So that's going to be, because the right-of-way is not included in the overall.
Right. Okay.
So it's possible. There's some other concerns with it. There's some sheds in the, not meeting the setbacks. And there's a portion of Lot 3, or Lot 3 isn't touching any access. So there's no access to Lot 3. So there's some other concerns with this plat.
That's if you went to the 3 lots available. If it was 2, then that wouldn't affect that as much.
Correct. If they went down to the ranchette, they would have to resubmit another layout plan to show the 2 lots instead of 3.
Any other questions for Brittany while we've got her up here?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
Move to deny without prejudice of the comprehensive plan amendment CA 2302 as per staff recommendation.
Second?
Moved and seconded to deny without prejudice comprehensive plan amendment CA 23-02 per staff's recommendation. Discussion. Anyone from the audience? Commission.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I can't support this going down to rural residential. I could maybe see it doing a ranchette. So I'm not going to support the motion to deny without prejudice. I would deny openly, and then have them resubmit for a ranchette. That's just my feeling.
Actually, we've been using the without prejudice more, that they don't have to pay again our fees, is that particular wording. Is that correct, Megan?
Right, and it has to be materially different, the
Right.
request. So even if you go to ranchette you would have to wait a year to actually apply for any rezone.
Yeah, so Megan Kruger with the state's attorney's office. The difference between with and without prejudice is with means that they cannot come back and apply for a year. Without means that they could come back tomorrow and apply again for the exact same thing. So if you denied with prejudice, then that would mean that they could not come back in with this specific request. They could likely come back for ranchette because that is a different request.
All right.
Makes sense.
So that does fall into what Kevin is
Correct.
saying he doesn't really support.
Yeah, so
All right.
as Kevin had mentioned, he wouldn't support this request regardless of the road conditions. So that would be deny with prejudice.
All right. Very good. Any other discussion? Thank you, Megan. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Got that, Jerry? That's 2302. Now we need a motion on rezone 23-03.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a recommendation, staff's recommendation, deny without prejudice, comprehensive plan amendment, CA 2302.
No, next one.
Did I read the wrong one?
2303.
Yeah, 2303. I got them
There's
flip-flopped up there, laid them back down.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Kevin, you're going to have the same input on that one? Or?
Yes, sir.
All right, please let the record show Kevin's comments would be applicable to the rezone request as well. Discussion from the audience. Discussion from the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 16.
Item number 16 is the county board report. The Board of Commissioners continued the Planning Commission's recommendations from the March 27th, 2023 meeting to the board meeting on Tuesday, May 2nd, as the regular board meeting was moved to April 6th because of the snowstorm. Due to the movement of that, we had to re-advertise all of those items due to statutory requirements. So they will be heard at the May 2nd meeting.
A snowstorm doesn't even allow you to break the advertising law. Huh?
Not according to our state's attorney's office.
Okay. I believe you. Is it still pretty expensive when we have a lot of items that have to get re-advertised?
It can be, yes.
It can be.
Yes.
Okay. That's the only question I had. Thank you. Any other questions for Brittany on the county board report? Items from the public. Anyone here would like to get up and give us a what for? All right. None. Items from the staff. Building permit report.
We just have the building permit report. It was slower this year in 2023 March than in 2022. We're starting to see significant pickup in the office. I think the weather was not favorable for a lot of construction throughout March. But we're still on pace. We're higher than we were in years prior. 2022 was just, and 2021 were record years in comparison to any previous years, so.
What do you think is going to happen if the weather takes off finally?
We're seeing more activity at the counter now, more building permit submittals.
Okay.
So a lot of requests for ancillary structures and ancillary living quarters.
How's your contractor licensing doing? You getting pretty good support for that? People get in here and get it done, even the ones that want to kind of involve themselves?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
I have something I need to tell you guys.
Right ahead.
So Megan Kruger, State's Attorney's Office. So Tracy Dollison-Decker is leaving our office. Travis already knows, so he's nodding his head. I am going to be taking her duties over, so I will be doing pretty much J 2.0 stuff. So we're looking for a new attorney to take over the planning and zoning stuff. Until we find somebody and I get them trained, I'm going to be doing both jobs. So I'll be kind of in and out. Travis clapping. I'll be doing both jobs for a bit. I don't know what the interest is thus far in the position. We just sent out the email today notifying the office that I would be taking over Tracy's duties and somebody would be hired or placed, transferred into my position. So you guys will still be stuck with me for a little while, but I will be kind of pulling back a little bit because I will be taking over a bunch of Tracy's duties, which includes a lot of different stuff. So
I don't know what you're talking about, Megan.
yeah, I'm trying to convince Jay that we should reallocate some stuff so that way he isn't like in meetings all the time and he can do some admin stuff, because I won't be taking over Tracy's administrative duties, because she's been practicing for 20 years and I've only been practicing for 5. So I won't be taking over her administrative duties, but I will be taking over all of her other stuff. So, and then Jay will be taking back some of those administrative duties. So he'll have less time and I'll have more time. So
That, and I'm sure you have a very excellent taskmaster that you report to. I mean, he is accepted as one of the leading people on that sort of information in the state.
Yeah,
So,
Jay is a wonderful human being. He knows more in his pinky than I know in my entire body. So he's brilliant. He's a great mentor to have. So a great person to learn from. But until we get another attorney up on the fourth floor, so April 24th is Tracy's last day with the office. So after April 24th, I'll be doing both. So there may be some meetings that I won't be able to come to because I've got something else going on or I need to cover something that would have normally been Tracy's responsibility. So bear with me if you guys have things that come up that you want legal advice on. You can either have Brittany call me and I can run down, or if I'm in another meeting that it's not capable for me to leave, just continue the item and then have Brittany or whoever, you guys can reach out to me directly too if you have questions. And I can always research those and send you a memo when I'm not physically here. So
I guess that my suggestion to help would be if she can get it in an email in a written form, then she can get back to it as her time dictates, and we could send that through you, couldn't we, Brittany, if we did have a question in that regard?
absolutely.
Would that work all right with the commission members?
Yeah,
Make sure
and
it's in an email.
I would always prefer for you guys to continue an item if you're not sure on a legal question than to make a decision that may have an impact later on, especially if I can't be here because I'll be doing 2 jobs. So at least for a little bit. I don't know. I haven't heard whether there's any interest in my position because they literally just sent out the email this morning. So
All right, don't run off after your item here. Wait just one more.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Anything else from items from the staff? Items from the membership? I've got one, but I'm not gonna elaborate on it much. Someone filed an official complaint over my being naughty at the vacation home rental meeting, so I just wanted you to know that, so I'm not gonna discuss it or get into it. I'm sure somebody's gonna reply or do something about it, and it exists, so I'm comfortable with the way we all handled ourselves. I believe that, and you guys can guess what the situation was and when it happened, so. Okay? Very good, so you know. I wrestled around whether I should tell you because it hasn't really even been, formalized yet, but I know that it's been submitted, so. All right, anything else from the membership?
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Moved and seconded to adjourn meeting. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. That was the only reason I was having to say, because I don't think.